Hello, hello, hello. It's another debrief for Cyber 3100 modules 4 and 5, or Information Security Management and Risk Management. Here we go. We begin with an apology to my other dogs. 4 years before Reese arrived at my house, these two spoiled, rotten dogs showed up. They heard I talked about Reese 2 debriefs in a row and were not happy I hadn't talked about them. Reese is doing good, by the way. I'll tell you how they joined us. On New Year's Eve, I had a party. Suddenly, my 12-year-old baby girl doggie became ill. We rushed her to the vet ER at 8:15 p.m., returned without her. She had a tumor and a ruptured spleen, and they couldn't help her. It had already been a bad year. My dad had died over the summer, and he and I were very close. His birthday was the next day, January 1st. On the 1st, my son's now ex-girlfriend kept sending me pics of puppies and saying they needed a home, but I didn't respond. Her best friend's grandfather had passed away, and he had 13 puppies that were going to be euthanized. I wasn't interested in another dog right after I lost one. About 7 p.m. on the 1st, the ex shows up with a tiny little puppy in a towel, and I stopped and sat in the rocking chair with that pup. I rocked her for 2 hours while she slept. Wow. Incredibly calm and relaxing. That 2.2-pound puppy is Luna on the left. She slept in the garden tub that night. We weren't using it for anything else. The next day, my son's friend brought a pup back and asked us to return it. That 2.8-pound puppy became Hershey. They were 5.5 weeks old and tiny. I would tuck each one under an arm and take them down the steps. Prior to this, I had never gotten another dog right after I lost a dog. Now, I'm not so sure. Because, wow, it helped me grieve the loss of my sweet Sandy, but it also helped me grieve the loss of my dad. And I realized they didn't replace Sandy at all. They were 2 more pups, and I have a lot of room in my heart for dogs. People often say we rescued them, but they barged into our lives and rescued me. Anyway, they weren't happy that I talked about Reese 2 times in a row. They need to be first billed, so I said I'd put them in this week's ledger, and I did. Reminders. Again, read and follow the rubric. That's how you earn your grade. Engage with your classmates by responding to different people. Go outside your comfort zone. Notice number 3, which is new. Spell check. I mean the words that are underlined in Word at a minimum. Who are we? What are we called in academia and industry? Cybersecurity, that's it. Well, sometimes we're called information security or information assurance or information technology or almost anything else you can think of. Some of you are computer science and software engineering, and even those titles are a little flexible. Read job descriptions carefully. Don't worry too much about what your title is. It's all about what you do. By the way, IS or MIS or IT or MIT or lots of other names have the same identity problem. We simply haven't been around as long as literature and some engineering, so we're still working our way through naming conventions. A couple of important things to consider when developing cyber plans. Well, the people. What are their areas of expertise? Can you train them to do what is needed quickly? Do they want to learn? What experience level do they have? And what is the role of cyber in your organization? Does it drive business value, make money as a profit center, or follow business strategy, serving business needs as a cost center? Both are good options. You simply need to make the right choice given your situation. Extending the previous slide a bit, how in the world did these baseballs and candles that look like hot air balloons have anything to do with cybersecurity? Well, you have to know your people when you set the rules. Knowing your people means you have emotional intelligence. Yep, you need that even in cybersecurity. And understand what's important to those around you. What I have here are two cultural artifacts. For me, I love baseball, and it's almost baseball season. Baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and Chevrolet, all part of our culture, although we may need an update. Other cultures value different ideals. You need to know what your people value. Cultures vary by region, locality, and even within certain companies. You have to be able to read cues and understand culture, because it's often not written on the walls. But I digress. The organizational culture is very important to physical and virtual security policies, management, and controls. Andrew, #awareness through CETA, here asks how culture influences cybersecurity and is a critical component. Your employees must buy in to how technology is used and secured and be willing to follow the rules. Let me stop here and say one thing. The questions for these discussion boards, for these two that we looked at, were excellent. With that in mind, everyone who included a question and received full credit for it on either of the discussion boards will receive plus 0.1 points extra credit. I'll put the extra credit in after I post the slides. And this is a great job. If you didn't do the question or didn't receive full credit for the question, you won't receive the extra credit. A couple more points on culture. If the culture is just not too keen on cybersecurity, as Jamal #JustLovesCulture asks, you may have to work to convince your superiors that cyber is important. You must be able to talk to the business people, the ones with the money, to convince them of the criticality of cyber. That's where you need the technical chops and the communication skills. Remember I said if you know the technology stuff and can communicate, you can rule the world? I wasn't kidding exactly. It's hard to be both good at technology and good at communication. Finally, Rhoda #RocksWithRole-Based Culture pointed out that the structure and organization of cybersecurity may be in part based on its culture, and that's absolutely right. We show here that culture and cybersecurity are clearly related. Companies often show their culture and how they use technology. For instance, if you are Amazon and you don't want your employees to be distracted by their personal phone, you might have them put it in their locker while they work. Apple TV Severance uses the same policy, albeit for very different reasons. Of course, AWS is where everything is stored in the cloud. They must have a culture that values maximum uptime for all of their servers, detailed disaster recovery plans, duplicate servers, and our mirrored or virtual servers to protect their customers and customer data. They also have strong physical and cyber protections in place. At microprocessor chip factories, many of the items they make are very small, but worth a lot. They may search all employees as they leave the facilities as a matter of course. Di asks if you're a small business would rather take care of your own security or hire it out to save money. Well, it depends, my fave answer, but it must be supported. If hiring it out to a specialized cybersecurity firm will allow you to focus on your core capabilities, then maybe hire it out. So if you're a tech company, you may have to be able to easily acquire, cybersecurity skills. If you're non-tech focused businesses and you're small or even medium-sized, it may make sense for you to pay someone who already knows what they're doing to take care of it for you. Then you can focus on selling more services or products to your customers while your security is handled by someone else and you don't have to hire extra staff. Muhammad asks how small businesses can stay cyber safe with limited resources. They must be vigilant. They cannot defer paying for cybersecurity. If they do not pay for it now, it will likely come back and bite them later. And since almost all small and medium businesses that are hit by a cyber attack go out of business within a year after that, it's something that cannot be ignored. We already talked about certificates versus degrees on bulletin boards and such, but it's worth briefly revisiting with two relevant questions. First, how can schools prepare students for the constantly changing cybersecurity field? Francesca asked that question. Let's look first at a trade or tech school. You're often trained on the latest and greatest apps at the time. You can gain a certificate in a short amount of time, usually a year or less. You often get entry-level jobs quickly by specializing in whatever is most needed at the time. The second question asks if cybersecurity should be separate from IT, not just in jobs, but in school curriculums. The answer to that is somewhat dependent on culture in organizations and in educational institutions. Here at KSU, we offer IT and cyber degrees separately from each other, although both are interdisciplinary and have some similar components. It works for us to keep them separated, in my view, and in KSU's view. In other cases, it may make more sense to offer only one or the other, or set up a college of technology and put all the tech-related degrees under one umbrella. Again, it depends. At the university level, you're likely to experience numerous ways of solving problems, from programming to analytics to project management to penetration testing to hardening of systems, etc. We don't teach specific apps, although you typically use an app of some sort or other in each course. We do teach you how to solve problems using technology appropriate for each class. So if a new app comes along, and it will, you understand the fundamentals of how it works and know what your organization values and can make a recommendation and quickly get up to speed if appropriate. You know how to solve problems using technology and how to prevent others from creating problems by not securing their own technology. The apps you use to help with that are simply a tool that you're able to learn. We do try to keep up with changes, integrating into the curriculum as quickly as possible. But it's hard to do, as Francesca notes. We now have a cyber range that's used starting with some of the 3000 level courses. It gives you spotlights and professionally prepared videos and exercises. We just started using it last semester and we'll evaluate it as time goes on. Do any of you ever think about how stressful a career in cybersecurity or software engineering or CS or IT or IS or other technology-related fields might be? In all fairness, cyber is quiet most of the time. You are preparing for that one time when things are not quiet. And when they aren't quiet, well then all hell may break loose. You must be vigilant. After graduation, should you look for a job, get certified, start a grad program, go to Europe for a year, or what? Yes, all of the above. See what the market is like. What kind of job can you get? Would you rather go ahead and pursue a graduate degree? That may delay having to pay back student loans and give you some time to get on your feet. It may even allow you to find better co-ops and internships. But if you find a reasonably good job with reasonably good pay and a reasonably good location, go ahead and get the experience. It's easier to get a job once you have experience. But nobody will give you a job until you have experience. It's a catch-22 situation. Finally, Leslie asked if anyone was worried about the first position being boring, doing the same thing over and over, or doing things that are routine and easy. That's possible. You may need the experience to get a better job, or you may find another job while working at the boring job. It's usually easier to find a job when you're already working. You aren't as desperate, maybe? I don't know. As you gain experience, you may decide to move to non-traditional roles in cybersecurity. After being a developer or an analyst, you may learn you have a knack for project management and pursue the management track in cyber. I think everyone in tech should have to be on the help desk for the first couple of weeks anyway at an organization. You learn a lot and you learn how to solve typical problems at your organization. Several of you noted that security education, training, and awareness programs were necessary to keep the organization on the right track for cyber. And of course, we're all in tech, so we're always going through professional development. New stuff comes out all the time, and we have to learn about it and use it if it's helpful. Should cybersecurity professionals work internally with an organization or externally as a consultant? Some of you noted that you'd like to be a consultant. That's a lucrative avenue to pursue. You travel a lot, but it's still a very good avenue to pursue. You usually do need some experience before you embark down the consultant route, and it's probably good to earn an MBA to complement your cyber degree. The business will dictate what the cybersecurity will consist of, and the business, ultimately owns the risk. I take that to mean the business is going to have to suffer a hit and realize a mistake of not taking advice. Here's what this means. If you're Walmart with a gazillion customers, sales, and products, you will spend money to buy technology that will secure your data because that's your lifeblood. But Walmart's key strategy is being a low-cost provider. They may not want to spend extra money on the newest tech if they don't see the value in it. Now, a certain firm that does cybersecurity research is going to spend a gazillion dollars on the best security. So are the cloud providers, where many organizations push their cybersecurity to. But your question is fair. Generally, the ICE department sets strategy after the business strategy is set. It's hard to convince a company that's losing money that they need to upgrade cybersecurity. Sometimes they don't have the money. Aisha asked how the positioning of cybersecurity within a business affects its ability to manage risk. If cyber isn't given the necessary resources to do the job, it must ensure that top management is aware and that they accept the risk. Future considerations include concern about AI and cybersecurity, with automation and machine learning improving threat detection and assisting in policy development in the coming years. At the same time, the bad guys are developing similar types of technology. How about VPNs? Do you trust them to be secure? Cyber people tend to be paranoid, but it's not paranoid if they really are out to get you. Fun stuff now. Want to be on the red team who attempts to attack a protected system in cyber defense competitions? Or the blue team who attempts to defend the system from attack while running the system in everyday mode? Do you want to be on one of our competition teams? The teams are selected from the offensive security membership. The quicker you become a member, the better. You will learn a lot and may ultimately be chosen to compete in the cyber defense competition, the penetration testing competition, the NCAE National Cyber League, and you may gain access to the Hackerspace Classroom if you're a competitor. Check out OffSec soon. You won't be sorry. Let's take a quick look at risk management and threat management and the key differences between them. Risk management looks broadly at the potential for harm. The risk is the probability that the harm will occur and the impact on the organization's objectives if it does occur. All risks are not created equal and should not receive similar attention. Effective risk management uses proactive measures and controls to reduce the likelihood and impact of potential risk and does incorporate threat management as a key element. Threat management focuses on specific active threats and vulnerabilities that represent potential danger. Threat management involves identifying, analyzing, and responding to threats, which are potential dangers or malicious code. It involves proactive measures to detect, deter, and prevent threats, as well as reactive measures to handle security incidents. Many of you noted the tension or conflict or need to balance cybersecurity and IT. IT values efficiency and easy accessibility. By contrast, cybersecurity prioritizes control and rigid following of processes and policies and access with multi-factor authorization. This is one reason people argue that it's better to keep IT and cybersecurity separate. They have very different, often conflicting goals. You can see some of the comments made about this by your classmates here. If you have a CISO charged with developing controls, processes, and policies to limit changes of a cybersecurity breach from within or outside, and a CIO charged with efficiently and effectively meeting the strategic business goals, yeah, you're likely to have tension. To be more efficient, take away all the controls. To be more secure, add lots more controls. So yeah, tension is there. What do you think is the biggest challenge in managing a cybersecurity workforce, and how can leaders address it? You can make an argument for many challenges such as AI, blockchain, fintech, workforce shortages, etc., and none of those would be wrong. But all of those require strong cybersecurity to be effectively deployed. Good thing they guide us. We're all still working on what we want to be when we grow up, including me. As Yolanda noted, there's so many options for cyber. How could I know what I truly want to do? Now we do know a little bit more about the types of cybersecurity jobs that are available, so at least we know what we're getting into. We've looked at some frameworks to help us understand how to categorize different types of jobs, which might be in any of these roles. You'll know more as you get into lab classes and get the chance to attack and defend computer systems. I'm grading the next module now. Expect a debrief as soon as I finish.